We are analyzing one of the darkest chapters of the Ukraine war, Russia's offensive on the strategic city of Pokrovsk. This is not just a battle, but a clear demonstration of a ruthless military doctrine where human lives are considered expendable. The Kremlin's effort to capture Pokrovsk has turned this front into a literal meat grinder for its own army.
We will not tolerate further interference.
Tens of thousands of their soldiers have fallen victim to Moscow's strategic ambitions, with leadership showing no regard for their lives. They are thrown into the Ukrainian furnace, and if they disobey, their fate is even more tragic. The Kremlin is ready to abandon its own soldiers at Pokrovsk, leaving them to die once their purpose is served. This horrifying picture is revealed through the testimony of a Russian soldier named Vladimir Valerievich Dulyaninov. As a commander in the supposedly elite 6th Guards Tank Regiment, his story is a damning indictment of Russia's command system. He recounted a horrific story of being left for dead for 6 days on the Pokrovsk battlefield. While severely wounded, Dulyaninov survived by eating wild apples and the bark from trees. On November 15th, German news outlet Focus Online published videos of his testimony, explaining his bitter assessment. One of the first orders he received was to execute 5 of his own men for refusing a suicide mission.
Moving up, cover me!
Dulyaninov refused the inhuman order, persuading the men to fight. He was only delaying their death sentence. When the attack began, he realized the High Command had provided almost nothing needed for his unit to succeed. The 6th Guards Tank Regiment, a prestigious Guards unit, was sent into battle without tank support. Unsurprisingly, the Ukrainian counterattack devastated the unit. Dulyaninov was severely wounded by shrapnel. In any civilized army, evacuating the wounded is a top priority, but for Russia, he was simply left to his fate. The Kremlin always has more soldiers to throw into the Pokrovsk meat grinder. Defeated and exhausted, the soldier knew he faced a choice: die there or try to escape without any help. For 6 days, he crawled across the battlefield, his greatest problem being the complete lack of food and water. This is not new for anyone following Russia's logistical failures. Food shortages are common. The situation is so bad that many Russian soldiers must crowdfund for the most basic necessities. A Kyiv Post report stated some soldiers must appeal to the public to purchase their own equipment. In an intercepted call, a soldier said, "We get canned meat, grains, and cigarettes. That's it. The rest we buy ourselves." It seems the Russian army faces a trade-off. Dulyaninov's tank unit had fuel but no food. Both situations are desperate and show the Kremlin's disregard for its soldiers, who are treated as little more than cannon fodder. Even more tragically, the Express reported in April that some starving Russian soldiers had to kill and eat dogs to survive. An intercepted call from Ukrainian intelligence quoted a woman whose acquaintances were in the Russian army. Another call from the SBU recorded a soldier saying, "We have to eat dogs. There's no food. Today, we ate a Yorkshire Terrier." Somehow, Dulyaninov survived. He even managed to crawl to the position of Russia's 24th Brigade, where he expected rescue. He was wrong. He discovered his unit hadn't even tried to find him and had simply reported him as missing. This harsh reality led to his bitter statement: "The wounded are not evacuated, they are just left to die." He called Russia's new tactic of sending small, ill-equipped groups to infiltrate Ukraine a suicidal act. Dulyaninov called it the intentional murder of one's own army, and said Pokrovsk was worse than the Battle of Bakhmut. "This place is worse than Bakhmut. It feels like everyone is being sent to their death," the soldier said. To understand the scale of his claim, recall that the Battle of Bakhmut cost Russia an enormous number of soldiers. By the end of that battle, some analysts believe Russia had lost nearly 100,000 soldiers. So is Pokrovsk worse? One analyst claims Russia lost 100,000 soldiers there between January and October 2025 alone. President Zelensky said that in October alone, Russia had 25,000 confirmed killed, mostly in the Pokrovsk direction. Dulyaninov was right. The fight for this city is becoming the costliest battle for Russia since the war began. But the story doesn't end there. Dulyaninov also alleged that Russian soldiers are being extorted by their own commanders. They are required to transfer large sums of money into a vaguely described company fund. Worse, he claims that those who could testify against their superiors have been systematically eliminated. Dulyaninov's story is not an isolated case. Evidence of the Kremlin abandoning its troops is mounting. Consider what happened on the Dnipro River, where Russian troops were trapped in a death zone, patrolled by Ukrainian drones. Russia's military medical system has also collapsed. Even their own doctors believe many wounded soldiers could have been saved. British intelligence confirms that a lack of armored vehicles and the drone threat caused significant delays in medical evacuations. According to the Center for European Policy Analysis, Russian soldiers face a grim choice: fight or die. A Russian Academy of Sciences report boasted that 98% of wounded soldiers returned to the front. But the data shows they were sent back before being fully recovered, reflected in a shockingly high fatality to casualty ratio. The brutality doesn't stop at abandonment. Remember, Dulyaninov was ordered to kill his own comrades. Dulyaninov's story is not an anomaly. It is a piece of a larger picture of an army treated as sacrificial pawns. The failure to evacuate him was not an oversight, but standard operating procedure in Putin's army. This cruel treatment is a deliberate design by the Kremlin, and we are witnessing it play out in Pokrovsk. However, this strategy cannot last forever, not for humanitarian reasons, but for practical ones. Pokrovsk is costing the Kremlin too dearly. With huge losses and recruitment problems, Russia is struggling to maintain its forces.